Everyone, my name is Nick, and we are back at it with another venture into the terrifying world of Reddit to answer some various TTRPG related questions. If you enjoy this series, please share this with a friend. It really helps the channel, and I appreciate it a lot. But let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna jump right into r/RPG design, and it's a short one from Far Information 6562, and the title is "The D4 is the best die and the rest are inferior." So that is a bold, bold title. Reasons why the D4 is the best die of all: 1. It divides into 100. 2. It doesn't bounce off the table as much. 3. The triangle is the strongest shape. 4. If you are ever being chased, they make excellent caltrops. So, I 100% disagree with the D4 being the best die. The best die, hands down, no questions asked, is the D12. It feels the best, it rolls the best. 1 through 12 is probably the best range. I am biased though because my whole system is built on a 2d12 rollover. So I just love the D12. I think it's better. I think it's better. I think they look better too. The D4 is probably number 3. If I had to rank them, it would go D12 is number 1. D20 is number 2 because it's the classic TTRPG dice you probably think of. D4 is number 3. Then D6 is number 4. D10, and then D8. D8's my least favorite. I don't know what about them. I feel like they are the dice I use the least, and I'm never reaching for them, or I never have design ideas to get them implemented. So they're definitely my least favorite. And then I do give honorable mentions to the D30. I do like the D30 a lot. But yeah, so D12 is best. D4 is third best. I disagree with this guy. I am sorry. But my favorite comment from that little conversation from Phil Lombada: best die is the D12, and it's not close. Best shape, best feel, best number. I 100,000% agree. And then there was a follow up to a response from Randolfo. This is the hill I defend. Although I like all the platonics and D10s, I like D12s the best. Yes, see, people get it. I feel good about where we are in the realm of RPG design because people get it. D12 is better than everything else. All right, moving on to our next one. It's going to be r/DM Academy, and the writer is Backdeck Pro. His title, or their title, is "How to Handle One Player of 6 Who is Struggling with Large Parts of the Campaign." So I am the DM of a Fallout Sandbox campaign that has been going on since January of 2025, and it's my first ever campaign. When I started the campaign, I didn't truly know how to describe what my campaign was going to entail, but I was clear about it being my first game and that I would have player freedom to choose what to engage with. Tough combats and a regional power struggle with various factions struggling to survive and solidify their position of power. Now that the campaign has gone on for a while, I'd say we've had a roughly 60% combat, 20% roleplay, and 20% exploration approximate split so far, and most of the players have really enjoyed the campaign. However, one of the players who left due to scheduling and recently rejoined is struggling with the split as he leans towards roleplay and especially doesn't love the large scale combat that the party gets into. I have been told it's close to wargaming, and also started to look into wargaming rules based on my experienced players' advice. Other players have had feedback on the combat, and it's more about making it more fun and fluid, as they do have lots of fun with it. For example, we just had a huge combat over 2 sessions where the party held out on a beach of a small island with 16 NPCs against hordes of mutated creatures. They defeated somewhere around 120 to 150 and are currently leaving by with at least 75 to 100 more on the beach that they can see, while a robot snuck deeper into the island to plant a chemical bomb to kill off the breeding grounds that is the island. The combat was definitely a slog, but overall, most of the players enjoyed it, and the main feedback was how the system is training with these larger combats, and implementing more wargaming rules to make things faster and more fun would be nice, which I agree with. The roleplay player wasn't at these sessions for different reasons, scheduling. But I know that he would have really not enjoyed larger combats like this, but the campaign will definitely have more large scale combats like the sieges of towns trying to take over industrial mines, etc. The TLDR is, what should I do when 5 out of my 6 players enjoy the game and just want tweaks to make it more fun, while the one player seems to want heavily scaled back combat and much more roleplay? More roleplay will definitely happen, but more large scale combat will also definitely happen. So that is a honestly, it's a tough position, and I feel bad for both the GM and then the player who is not as engaged with the campaign because as the GM, you know, it's every GM's goal to have to have a game that anyone who sits down leaves the table enjoying it. Like you want 5 out of 6 is a great number to have of people who enjoyed it. That's awesome. But you want 6 out of 6. You want every person who sits there to love what you're doing and love the game and that's all they think about and talk about. So when they're open about what they dislike and that goes against the core of your campaign, that is very, very difficult. And I think the very first thing you need to think about and do is figure out, do you want this person in your campaign? Is this someone like you would fight for them to stay? If the answer is no, you wouldn't fight for them, or no, you don't even want them, my suggestion would just sit down with that player and say, hey, unfortunately, the campaign has taken this road. Majority of the players, they prefer this large scale combat. We're talking about going to wargaming rules to help with the large scale combat. And that's just the way we're leaning. And, you know, I think it's probably best if we go separate ways because you're not going to have fun. And because of the campaign, we can't change it. And just be honest with them. And then if you're not going to fight for them to be there, I would say just let them go. Let them know and let them go. But if that is someone that you want in your campaign, you got to find ways to implement what they find enjoyable. Sit them down and let them know, hey, this campaign is going this route. It is going to be a large scale combat with wargaming rules, but I want you to still be a part of it if you want to say, what exactly do you need so you can enjoy each session as well? Like, make it clear you're not getting rid of the large scale combat, but ask them specifically, what do you need? And let them tell you exactly what they need. And try your best and be honest with them. Be like, hey, every session I'm not going to be able to implement that. But if they want role play, you know, make sure there is moments that they can role play. You talked about over 2 sessions, the party held out on a beach of a small island with 16 NPCs. So 16 NPCs should be ample amounts of role play. I don't know who they are. I don't know if they're generals. I don't know if they're peasants, whatever they are. You need to make moments that have important role play. If these NPCs are important, make it so there's encounters where this player who likes role play can help the combat improve based on his role play. Make him feel special, just like the players who love the combat feel special when they do something good. So if it's a general, let him do charisma checks that help the players who do combat be better at combat. Something like that where he can feel special. He can also enjoy it. And there's a good, it doesn't even have to be a 50-50 split, but there's a chunk of the session where he can also feel enjoyment. Again, that's only if you want to fight to keep him there because it's going to have to be a balancing act and you need to be honest with him either way that majority of the campaign is going to be large scale combat and just see what he says. Yeah, I feel bad because sometimes it is very hard to find a group to play with. So if you have a group of friends and they don't like the same style that you like, it can be difficult. Okay, so my favorite comment is I'd say if it's the one player, then they may not be a good fit for the table, but here's an idea. What if combat got a little more role play? You can have a lot of combat, but make dialogue matter. Have fights you can talk your way out of, other ways of winning than just killing or disabling all the bad guys. It puts more work on your shoulders, but I personally love a narrative fight. I'm not as familiar with the Fallout system, but maybe 1 to 2 action points to attempt a charisma check to get someone to stand down, even if it's just for a turn. I think that's great. You know, give them more options than just you have to fight this person. All right, so our next one is from r/DM Academy, and the user is Pineapple Scanner. The title is Burnt Out and Hating My Campaign. I have definitely been there and felt that. So the text reads, I've been DMing weekly for nearly 7 months at this point. After two awful homebrew campaigns that fell apart and a slightly better homebrew mini campaign, I am now 8 sessions into my first homebrew full scale epic campaign. It started off well, and we've had 2 or 3 stellar sessions, but lately I just feel burnt out. Life has gotten busy, and I've had to rely much more on improv as my prep time diminishes. Improving entire sessions gets really draining and makes the whole campaign a mess. My players say they are loving it, but I am unfortunately not. Thinking of just wrapping up this campaign as quick as I can and running a module. Anyone else had this experience? Any advice for quickly getting out of a campaign without abruptly stopping it? So I have definitely been there with being burnt out. I'm running a GM retrospective also where I go through and I talk about my very first campaign. It was my first time GMing a campaign, as well as I was using the first version of the game I was designing. And that was so incredibly stressful and it burnt me out because there was all like on top of that, I had players that had never played any kind of TTRPG and having to teach them at the same time. Like it burnt me out. So I can completely somewhat understand where this person is coming from because there's no worse feeling than looking at your baby, like your campaign, the thing that at one point you loved so much, and it just doesn't make you feel good anymore. That is a rough feeling. It's a sad feeling. So my heart goes out to you. But for me, my advice would be stop playing weekly. So it depends on where you are because you very at the very end you say any advice for quickly getting out of a campaign without abruptly stopping it. If your heart is dead set on quitting, there's nothing anyone can say to change that. What you need to do is be honest with your players. Say, hey, I am burnt out. I don't want to just end things right now. Have everyone tell you what they want their character to be able to do before it ends, and just have 1 or 2 sessions where you cheat and you don't have to count travel the if something's far away, don't make it 3 or 4 sessions of travel. Like just cheat, have everyone fast travel where they need to go, and let each person kind of do what their character wants to do. That way, there's some sort of closure, and then just end it. That's if you're dead set on ending. If you are willing to try and figure out how to get your love for it back, you need to stop playing every week. And what I would say is like you need like a couple of weeks off and then go from like so every other week or every third week or something like that to where you have time to kind of just sit with your ideas and you will stop relying less on improv because you have more time to prep. It seems like in the body when you said I have to rely much more on improv as my prep time diminishes, it seems like part of your drive is being killed because improving takes a lot out of you. So I would just lengthen the time in between each session. See if every other week works. If that still kills you, go to once every 3 weeks. Just figure out something where you can slowly rebuild, getting your drive back. You know, really take some time to like sit there and remember what you enjoyed about your campaign, what your ideas were, what like secrets you have that you want to reveal, your ideas, all your side plots. Like you need to kind of fall back in love with your campaign. And that just takes time. And I would also say just be honest with your players. Let them know if it's to that point, just let them know, hey, I am burnt out and I need a break or I need to we have if we want this to continue, we have to change the schedule to every other week or something like that. Let's be honest, because if you're burnt out and you quit, then essentially I don't know if they have any other DMs that they can play for. So if you quit, they may lose the game completely. So they should be willing to work with you. But that's just my 2 cents. So there's two. comments that I like. First is a very short one. Mongoose Geff. Maybe go every other week for a little bit until life settles down. And that's exactly what I said. 100% agree with that. The other one I like is Dazzling Key 6426. Don't chase the eternal epic campaign dragon. Go old school campaign. You do Adventure 1. Then surviving and replacement characters go on Adventure 2, which may or may not be related to Adventure 1. Then increment and repeat this step as desired. That is also another good idea. Not everything has to be this epic critical role level, just massive campaign that's going to be 400 sessions and, you know, the every epic backstory gets tied into it. It can be just like Dazzling Key said. It could just be you go on an adventure. If anyone survives, they can go on another adventure. New characters join on that adventure. Just make it super simple. It could be very serial. That could also work and that can help you a lot. Yeah, I hope you get it figured out. I really hope you don't completely lose your love for your campaign, and I hope you find your drive again. And now we're gonna have our last one, which we're gonna do a horror story, and we will be going to r/D&D horror stories. This is submitted by Lex Hanley. The title is DM Bans All Non-AI Art. Okay. Never really thought I'd have a story for one of these things, but now I do, I guess. I've been playing with a group for 10 sessions and things have generally been nice. One thing to note contextually is that I'm an artist. Nothing impressive or professional, but enough to keep up a small Patreon. By day, I'm an art therapist, so I spend more time talking about and analyzing art than working on my own. Generally, art is a big part of how I enjoy D&D. I usually draw my character every couple of sessions and pack my character sheets around it. I always offer to draw people's characters for them if they want art, and I like to be surprised. And I like to surprise my groups with my interpretations of scenes from our games. This has never been an issue. In keeping with this habit, I made a drawing of the party eating around a campfire as a little send off piece before we took a holiday break. I share in our group chat, and it's acknowledged, no issues. The whole group at this point changes their PFPs on Discord to their characters clipped from the art. It's kind of cute. Now, DM loves AI images. He uses them constantly. I don't really care. Whatever makes you happy. I am not going to get into killjoy territory on that subject. He promptly takes my art and uses it as a reference for some AI image generator and puts a kind of hyper shaded version of my drawing. It doesn't look good to me, but again, whatever floats your boat. It's not like I'm selling my art to the group. Heck, I have a firm rule to never accept commissions from people I play with for that exact reason, not liking to mix business and my hobby. No one really acknowledges this post. I don't think it was out of protest or anything, I think. Fast forward 2 days and I get a DM from the DM. DM, hey, look, there's been a lot of complaints about your art. It's not really fair to everyone that you keep showing off your inherent talents like this. Not everyone, not even most people, are so lucky to be artistically gifted, and it's kind of rude. I explain that making art is just something fun I do for immersion. DM, if you insist on having pictures, you have to use an AI art generator. That way it's fair with everyone else and you're not being ableist. So I assume that this is just him being a bit salty. Following his request that I do so, I replace my portrait on Discord with a photo because I have been using character art I drew up until then. A weird request, but I've seen strange stuff in groups I'm new to before. If this were a sub for Wargaming horror stories, I'd have a load. What I didn't know was that he had been going around the group telling everyone else that I had asked them to change their PFPs from my art as well, saying to them that I had requested they be removed on intellectual property grounds. I find this out within an hour because naturally people think such a request is really strange and mean and come to me, thinking DM is misunderstanding something. Why the DM thought none of us would talk to each other, I'll never know. Group asks DM what's up and he claims the same thing he said to me, multiple complaints about art. Group decides to do the most logical thing and just outright ask, hey, did anyone have a problem with this? And of course, only DM does. DM declares the only fair way to have art in the group chat is if it's all AI and bans what he calls manual pictures. There's an edit, fixed some spelling and had some sentences that ran on a bit, and then there was an update. Update. Looks like people are talking again, and the DM was asked to take a break. The DM requested to stay on as a player for something new, which was agreed to be okay. Okay, if we take everything at face value, which I always suggest for the D&D horror stories, let's just 100% believe the poster. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm not gonna lie. That I ugh. So my thing with AI images is I don't use it and I don't allow AI in my campaigns. That's me personally. If other people use it, that I don't have an issue with it. I don't think less of them. One of my players is in another campaign and they use AI a ton in that campaign, and he tells me about like all the cool things they do and all the like how much fun they have with it. I think that's great. Like that is great for their campaign. I don't agree with it in my campaign. But this is just like on a whole nother level. This is you are being genuinely salty because this person can like draw with their talent they've had to work on for a long time. And because you feel so insecure about it, you're banning them from having art, their own artwork. You lied and slandered them to the rest of the party about what they said, and then you double down on it and you just say no manual art, only AI images. That's insane. Also, you called them enablers. Like that's insane as well. I don't get it. I think both sides have those extremists. Like there's the pro AI, which sounds like this guy is one of the extreme pro AI guys, and then you have the extreme anti AI who if anyone uses AI once, you're a horrible person. I think both sides are wrong when it comes to extremes, but like this is an extreme, and it doesn't sound healthy, like mentally healthy. Like you gotta work on yourself, my guy. You know, other people. I wish we had someone in my party that drew as well as this person apparently does, because that would be great. I would. I mean, I would have to pay them because I would be using them so much for art that it wouldn't be fair to them. I would use that a ton if I could, but it seems like it based on the update, things are working out with that friend group. So I really hope so. If you don't agree with someone, don't lie to the party about them and then not expect for the party to talk about it. That's wild. Really, that is wild. A lot of the comments are just running the GM through the mud about basically they're pretty sure his campaign was just AI generated as well. But my favorite comment is from Spank86. While we're at it, could you only use words of two syllables or less while role playing? Not everyone is so verbally gifted. And I love it because that's the type of petty this is. You know, it's just, when I first read this, I was at a loss because I was like, there's no way that someone was that petty where they lied to the group and then banned hand drawn art and you could only use A art. That's wild. But yo, that's awesome that you have that talent. I wish I could draw. I really do. I can't. My cat is going crazy right now, so hopefully, the audio comes through. But I wish I had that talent to be able to draw, because that would help me so much. But I don't. I have to find other ways, and AI is not one of them. But hey, so hopefully your group can survive that, and that you continue to have epic campaign moments that you can pull from and make beautiful art with. But yeah, that's wild. So we're going to end it there. That's 3 topics and 1 horror story we got to discuss. Sound off in the comments. What are your thoughts on AI images and AI campaign ideas being used? If you were in a campaign and you found out your GM was using AI campaign ideas, would you be cool with it or not? Let me know why. Thank you so much for listening. If you can, please share this with a friend. And as always, I will see you in the next one.